Hi, my name is Tim Smith. I'm a head tennis coach at Carl G. Mazur Preparatory Academy, and I'm a master's student in the coaching education program at Ohio University. Today we're going to be doing a task analysis breakdown of the tennis volley and showing the key components with that and breaking down everything. As you'll watch in the playback, we'll go through some slow motion footage and diagram exactly what that is. But there's 4 key phases to this shot. It sounds simple, but if we execute it right, there's a lot of moving pieces, but it can be a very powerful and very useful shot.
The first thing that I want you to notice is how we're holding the racket. We're in the continental grip here. That's our handshake grip. It's the same grip that's used for the serve, used for slice shots, and used for volleys when you're playing at the net. So stay in that continental grip. That's going to allow you to hit forehand and backhand volleys without needing to make a change. All right, we want to zoom in real quick just on the feet here so that we can see, while we're in our ready position, really what our feet are looking like. And if we zoom in on them, we can see weight is forward. We can see that by the angle of the legs here, but our weight is forward on the balls of our feet. Our feet are about shoulder width apart, and they're even. This angle makes it look like they're slightly staggered, but really they're even facing the direction of the ball and of our opponent. All right, as we jump into this side angle view here, you're going to see a couple of different components and just the athletic stance of this ready position. The number one thing that I want to point out is how my knees are bent. Honestly, I could probably be a little bit deeper on this, but this is such a key thing, is to get athletic, get low, ready to spring in the direction of the ball, and ready, really quite honestly, to go into phase 2 for our split step. But staying low is a key component.
Now trust me, I'm 6'3" and have a history of knee problems. I know it's hard to bend your knees here, but it is 100% worth the effort to get low and stay athletic.
Along with that, you'll also notice that my body is angled forward. My shoulders are above my knees. I'm active, I'm engaged. Everything is ready to move here. Moving to our arms, hands, and racket, I would like to see my hands just a little farther in front of my body here. But what I do like is that my racket is positioned above the net. Okay, if we come out across here, we're above the net, and it's above my hands. It's ready to go anywhere, ready to meet the ball. If I have my racket starting down, that's going to be a problem if the ball comes high. The ball has to cross at least 3 feet to get over the net, so I need to have my racket up and ready to move to that. Here you'll notice too, my eyes, my head, my shoulders, my hips, they are all square to the ball. Eyes on the ball and the opponent, ready to track, anticipate what my next move is going to be and where I'm going to need to move to meet the ball. All right, as we move into our split step here, you can see everything stays the same with my upper body and my arms. The difference is going to be in my lower body as I make this split step. It's a small hop forward. My legs straighten slightly to get there, and my feet go. But upon landing, I'm again balanced, balls in my feet, knees bent. Again, I'd like to see my hands just a little further out in front of me, with my racket maybe even slightly higher here. But overall, everything's staying the same, everything's staying square to the ball, and my position is still athletic, bent, low to the ground, ready to move in. And we're loaded and ready to move in the direction that the ball is going to come.
All right, we're going to take a quick look at one of my favorite little tiny clips of the Bryan brothers, the greatest doubles team of all time, and look at their split step because it's a thing of beauty to me. Now, one thing you should notice is that they're perfectly in unison. What that tells me is that there is a correct timing for the split step. So let's go into a video and take a look at what that timing is.
One thing I discovered as I was looking at these videos is my timing is all off. There's a reason that I selected this particular clip, and it's because it's the only one where I timed it correctly. Video's nice. Now I know that I'm late on the vast majority of my split steps. So what we're looking for is we want to be landing from our split step when our opponent is making contact with the ball. So my wife is over here. She's feeding me the ball. So watch my timing now as we go forward. Contact. You see that? Contact right there, and that's when I've landed. Okay, that's what we want. We want to be landing on contact, and that's something that I need to practice apparently. Now, this was actually a good clip to choose for another reason. If I had mistimed this split step, watch where this ball goes. I had to go up and get it. If I had mistimed, if I was late on that, that ball is probably going over my head. I'm missing that shot. Point goes to my wife feeding the ball. If we time that split step correctly, as soon as the ball is made contact with by our opponent, as soon as they make contact, we're landing and we're ready to adjust and react to whichever direction that ball is going. Now the second that we land, we're moving into phase 3 with our loading and preparation phase. So our head and our eyes are following the ball exclusively here, and our legs move into this outside step or pivot. You can see if we back it up just a little bit on landing, we come in, we land, and then we start to move into this outside step, outside pivot toward the direction of the ball. This ball is coming toward my forehand side, and so I've pivoted my right leg here, my outside foot, to go and meet the ball. My weight is now transitioning, and you can see it here in this position, to where my weight is now transitioning. My right leg is still very bent and carrying the weight of my body here, loaded in that preparation. As we move to our upper body, you'll see my shoulders and my hips have started to turn toward the side that the ball is coming. And as we advance just a little bit further, you'll see my racket go back. This completes our preparation phase. As we are now ready, we're spring loaded. Our racket is in preparation to get ready to go forward to meet the ball, but this is going to allow us to be stable and to maintain control as we go throughout our shot while adding some power. One thing that I do want to point out is our hands here. Okay, our hands stay pretty even with each other. Even as we release on this forehand side, our hands are even with each other at a similar height. As our non-dominant hand is moving in front of our body, our dominant hand is now behind, pretty even with our heel, but the hands stay level so that we can maintain balance. All right, we want to jump over to this front view here so that we can take a look at the arms, hands, and racket as we go to meet a backhand volley. So I've just landed from my split step here, and you'll see that my racket goes back, and as I'm loaded, my racket is back in place, but you'll see the angle that is created by my arms. My racket is still up, everything is still up and ready to go above the net, but now out to meet the ball. Now, one thing I really want you to pay attention to is what my non-dominant hand is doing. It's still lightly holding at the throat of my racket. Now, as we move into our contact phase, there's a lot that happens in a very short amount of time. But what I'm really going to point out here is we're going to start with the lower body again. We're staying low. The ball here isn't going to go down by my feet, but I'm still staying low. My knees are bent. That's going to give me a lot of power coming in. And you'll watch, I already kind of started my outside step in the previous phase, but you'll watch my step across here as I go into it. You'll see the weight is now transferred from that outside step where I loaded onto that leg, and it's now moved to that forward foot. And that weight transfer, along with what happens with our upper body, is what's going to give us a lot of the power as we move through this shot. So now we'll turn our attention to my shoulders and my hips. And what I want you to watch is how that back side is going to now move forward to allow my racket to move forward as well. There is a little bit of arm action, but a lot of it is coming from that slight turn of the body. So you'll watch here, I turn to meet the ball. And as I make contact here, you can see where I've made contact is fairly even with my front foot, maybe slightly out in front. We don't want to get too carried away, too far out in front of us. We're going to lose some power if we do that. The other thing to notice is my arm is extended mostly, but you can see there's a slight bend to it. I'm not fully extended. I use my body and my legs to meet the ball rather than getting full extension, because again, that's where I'm going to lose a little bit of power, a little bit of control as we move in there. Now the other thing to point out is my hands. You'll see my non-dominant hand in particular, pay attention there. It starts out and now it moves slightly in toward my body. Honestly, it didn't do very well. I didn't do a very good job there. I need to move in a little bit more to maintain some balance. On the backhand side here, the same principles apply. It's all about maintaining balance and control throughout the shot. So what you're going to see is my dominant hand is going to move forward and my non-dominant hand is going to move back. So it's the opposite motion as it is on the forehand side to maintain that balance when the shot is a little bit different here. You can see there that my dominant hand moved, my non-dominant hand went back, and that allowed me to stay balanced and stay in control of the shot. Next, watch my head. I'm tracking the ball. My eyes are tracking the ball. As I make contact, where are my eyes? They are on that contact point. And as I follow through, you can see they stay there for a second. I don't immediately jump to where the ball is headed. I keep my eyes low. Keep my eyes on that contact point. So again, I'm maintaining balance, maintaining control. The head of my racket is something interesting to note here. So you see I'm starting high, I'm going to meet the ball, and as I make contact, my racket face is slightly open. We can back that up a little bit to that contact point. My racket face slightly open, slightly angled toward the sky. That's allowing me to clear the net a little bit. You can see I'm slightly below the net or even with the net, but having it slightly open is going to allow me to clear the net. Now if I'm lower, I'm going to need to open more. If I'm higher, I have an opportunity to close down a little bit and hit down on the ball. But with a typical volley, even with our body, we're going to be slightly opened. That ball is then traveling forward. My racket is going to drop slightly, but ideally not below my hand. You see I stay pretty level here, and we want to maintain that level as we go through the shot. The other thing you notice there, not a lot of follow through. That racket is coming forward because I'm recovering. I'm not swinging. It's a nice, solid shot, minimal follow through, very compact. A lot of this action is coming from my legs, and not as much is coming from my arms as you might imagine.
One thing you do need to watch out for and be careful of and just mindful of is if the ball is coming quickly. Remember, we've cut the distance in half between us and our opponents. The ball is going to get to us quickly sometimes, and that's okay because we're going to be ready. If we're in our good ready position and we split step on contact, we're going to be ready for that quicker ball. But we may not have time to fully complete the preparation and loading phase or the contact phase with the step across. It's our feet that really may not have time, all right? But if we stay in good position, that's gonna be okay. We may occasionally split into it, and that's about as good as we can do. We just have to get our racket here, all right? We just have to react to it, keep our legs bent, we're still gonna get it. They're gonna generate the power for us. We're not as concerned there. So the ball's coming quickly. Don't worry too much about over moving your feet. Get your racket to the ball. That's our top priority.